morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from Glen, New Hampshire. And I'll be in this region for the next several months, so you'll see a lot of videos coming from here. Well, today's verse is the second part of Matthew 5:32, but I'll read the entire passage just to get into it. It says, "But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife except for the reason of unchastity makes her commit adultery." And here's the new part. "And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery." Wow, again, it's very clear, and it's difficult for most people to really buy into. But let's look at a cross-reference just to make sure that it's crystal clear. Let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and we'll start at verse 10. But before we do, Paul will sometimes give his opinion and just say, well, this is just my opinion. And before this passage, he does just that. He says to single people and widowed people, it's my opinion that you are better off staying single, but you're okay to marry. But now in 1 Corinthians 7:10, he says this, "But to the married I give instructions." Now, not I, but the Lord. So this is not Paul's opinion. This is from the Lord. And it says that the wife should not leave her husband. And verse 11. "But if she does leave," and if you remember from last week's video, and I have the link up here, the only biblical reason for her to leave is if her spouse was unfaithful. "But if she does leave, she must remain unmarried, or else be reconciled to her husband." And just in case we think that this is biased against men or biased against women, it says, "And the husband should not divorce his wife." So it's pretty clear. Christians really should not be divorcing, but there is one exception. If a spouse is unfaithful, you may divorce. You don't have to, but we may divorce. However, if we are divorced, we should not remarry. I know that's difficult, and you may say, but my spouse was the one that was unfaithful. Why shouldn't I get remarried? It was his fault or her fault. We may say, but my spouse deserved to be divorced, or I deserve to be remarried. My friends, be very careful about the word deserve. It puts us in a judgment place, and that's not our business. Judgment is God's domain. But secondly, just understand this. The only thing I deserve is death and destruction. I don't deserve anything. And I'm fortunate to have any life at all by God's grace. So I know this sounds really tough. And it sounds like I'm pointing my finger at those of you who are divorced or those of you who are remarried. I do not. I am myself and the product of two divorcees who have come together. And I have many family and friends who are divorced and or remarried. So I'm not offering judgment, but I'm showing what God's will is. And I want to point towards His love. God calls us to a higher version of love, a version of love that goes beyond what most people can understand. When we fall in love with Him, to the point where He can have it all, and He can have our marital status, He can have our dreams of having a beautiful, wonderful married life. He can have it all. He will give us the ability to love our ex, love that person that was bad to us, who was unfaithful to us. He will give us a love to stay single if that's what we need to do. He will have a love that passes all human understanding of love. And we'll be able to get through even the toughest situations, because if we love every moment, we're going to love every moment. Really. I'm your average wretch, and I hope you have a good week.